everyone. Welcome to the Checker Chat. I'm Justin,
I'm Blake.
and we are bringing you guys the recap. Recap. That's staying in. The recap of Throwback Weekend at Darlington. Was a eventful weekend to say the least. I was very frustrated at the end of that race.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll get into that in a minute. So in the midst of all the, dope looking paint schemes coming out, all the throwbacks, Austin Cindric, all those cool looking cars. We had some news that happened this week, which I guess technically it's not in between it, it's after all that, but either way.
Yeah.
So this week, Cracker Barrel announced that it's coming back to NASCAR to sponsor the Nashville race, and I could not think of a better race for them to sponsor, because I feel like when I think of Cracker Barrel, I don't know why I think of Tennessee, but I just feel like I do.
I just think of the South in general, honestly, like Southeast.
Yeah.
Tennessee makes sense. Georgia makes sense.
Yeah. I wonder where Cracker Barrel started, because
Probably Georgia, if I had to make a somewhat of a guess.
Cracker Barrel.
So when I first saw it, I didn't read like all the way through, and I was like, oh sweet, they're gonna sponsor Atlanta again, because like way back in the day, Atlanta had like the Cracker Barrel 500.
First Cracker Barrel was in Lebanon, Tennessee.
Oh, and that's where the racetrack is for Nashville.
Mhm.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Dang, me and Mal were just in Nashville 2 weekends ago.
Probably could have went to like the OG Cracker Barrel.
That would have been cool if we like Cracker Barrel.
True.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll go there and get pancakes.
I'll go through the gift shop and leave.
Yeah, the gift shop that some people legitimately shop for clothes there.
They have NASCAR stuff in some of them.
I haven't been in a Cracker Barrel in probably 10 years, but I've never seen any NASCAR stuff.
Like the last time we went to a Cracker Barrel, it was somewhere, I think it was in Jacksonville on the way to a cruise. And when I was waiting on our friends to like pay and leave and everything, I walked through the gift shop area and they had like diecast, like authentics.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. Well,
along with all the other random white people stuff they have in Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, well, props to, them coming back and sponsoring that race in Nashville, literally in the birthplace of Cracker Barrel. It's pretty cool. So last week we did not mention that Austin Hill was making a cup start.
And if you watched the race, you also forgot that Austin Hill was making a cup start.
Yeah, it felt really weird seeing the RCR graphic with the paint schemes for the week and seeing 3 cars.
Yeah.
I was like, that's bizarre, but, But Jesse Love this week is making a cup start, and we will mention that before the race.
We're excited about this one.
We're excited about this one because we like Jesse Love. Not going to say how we feel about Austin Cindric, but
we don't like him.
Okay. All right. I was going to say you could listen to past episodes and find out how we feel about him. But Blake just said it.
Maybe me more than Justin, but
I'm not saying obviously I don't know the guy. I don't know any of these people like personally. But him on the track, especially in Atlanta, I would just love to go to an Xfinity race and not see him win once, please. For the love of God, just once.
I genuinely, on the new repavement, like reconfiguration of Atlanta for Xfinity Series, have not witnessed one race where somebody I liked won.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he's won most of them. Ty Gibbs won the first one, and John Hunter Nemechek won one of them.
My lovely wife just walked back in with my coffee. She's about to be on screen. Come over here. Good Lord. Okay. Anyways, if anybody wants to know what I get at Starbucks, while they have it, I've got the pistachio cream cold brew. That is my coffee of choice for the time being. What'd you say? You got a $5 gift card? Oh, cool. What? Yaystack, yeah. Shout out Yaystack. You guys are dope. Please put more stuff on there than just the same 4 businesses that are on there. But anyways, back to NASCAR news.
Back to the podcast.
Back to the podcast, yeah. So again this weekend, Kyle Larson will try and sweep the weekend with trucks, Xfinity, and Cup at Bristol.
Which, if he was able to, would be interesting because the only 2 sweeps of the weekend that have happened were Kyle Busch
and
at
it was
Bristol.
at Bristol.
So then your 3 weekend sweeps would be 3 Kyles at Bristol. That'd be a little
that's funny.
interesting.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so I mean, he tried to do this at Homestead, came up short by 1 race.
One restart, 1 bad push away from it.
Yep. And was that Jesse Love that pushed him?
No, Sam Mayer.
Okay, my bad. I was about to say that would have been funny if it was. Hey, I'm starting in the Cup. Oh, cool.
You ain't finishing.
The racing the race you're trying to do the sweep in. Anyways, but yeah. So Kyle Larson is racing truck and Xfinity this weekend. That's going to be good. I do think that he had a higher chance of doing it at Homestead.
Yeah.
But he's historically pretty good at Bristol too.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, our favorite podcaster comes back to the track. Corey LaJoy returns in the 01 Stacking Pennies Performance car prepared by Rick Ware Racing. Woo.
Probably not gonna end super well, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
not being a hater, but
No, I mean he did. He went and raced at the Freedom 500 down in Florida for the, what is
Cletus.
it? Cletus, yeah, Cletus McFarland's track. And I think he almost won it.
Yeah, because I saw what's the Mr. Busher guy on TikTok? Tyler.
Oh,
something?
yes, yeah.
I was watching his like paint scheme preview for this week, and he said something about that Corey LaJoy came the closest to a win since his ARCA days at the Freedom 500.
Yeah, no, he almost won that apparently, and also like
I think Travis Pastrana
won
because he spray painted that Corvette.
Freaking, that is so cool, I think.
And Greg Biffle was in it, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. Haley Deegan, Brian Deegan, her dad.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to that one day. I honestly don't know how that would, like, I would assume it would be cool and fun. I've never really got to watch it because I always forget about it and don't buy the pay-per-view, but I've seen, like, YouTube stuff of it.
It always looks like it would be fun.
I mean, how much more American can you get than clapped out Crown Vics on a short oval track?
Yeah. Because I listened to Corey's podcast, and him and Ryan both were down there. Like Ryan pitted a few, like just kind of helped out here and there for a few people. Yeah, there was a lot of people in that. And then also, I want to say that Cletus is going to race ARCA again.
Yeah.
I can't remember where.
Oh, yeah. Because I know he mentioned Talladega. That was, like, pretty certain it sounded like at the... Is it...
Hold on.
Why do I want to say Bristol?
I don't think it's Bristol. Bristol.
I don't think it is, but for some reason, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Okay, Cletus, can you please just tell me where you're racing? Blake, talk.
You just want me to move on to the next news?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
If I find this, I'll
that
say
works.
it.
So, Catherine Legg will be running select Xfinity races throughout the remainder of this year with Jordan Anderson racing. Her first start for that will be at Rockingham, and she also will make some more select Cup starts, starting with Mexico this summer.
I think it's good that she's going to be running
an Xfinity car
and a road course.
Yeah, well, I mean, road course makes sense for her racing background.
Yeah, that's more so what I mean.
So with that, I wonder, because So she won't be attempting the double this year because
Okay.
the Coke 600 is before Mexico.
Okay, it is Talladega that
Okay.
Cletus is doing. My bad. Sorry to
No,
interrupt
you're
that,
good.
but
So I guess maybe then if some of the people that like speculated on it, maybe it'll be next year she tries to double, and she's just trying to get NASCAR experience this year.
I could see that for sure. I mean, she already has some prior to this year,
Yeah,
but I do think it's cool that she's bringing her sponsor over,
Elf,
Elf Cosmetics.
yeah,
That'll be cool to see. Just a
a pink
different
race
spot.
car.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
I
I mean,
think
the closest we get to that's Bowman.
and
Well, and Priest this weekend.
Cendric,
Oh
the
yeah,
Freightliner.
I forgot about that.
I love that Freightliner car. That's one of the many NASCAR pictures that cycles on my wallpaper on my phone.
The more you know.
The more you know. You guys are learning like a little bit more and more each week about us. But so yeah, so she's running Mexico in Cup and then Rockingham in Xfinity.
Which I don't think they announced other ones
Yeah, I think
after it yet. They
that's the
just
only ones
announced the
they
ones
said.
that like I guess they're starting with.
Yeah, I think that'll be good, especially if she is going to be running the double. Um, and I mean, just give her a little bit more experience. And I mean, I don't, I haven't, I don't know who Jordan Anderson is. I've never heard of.
So he raced for a while, and he started this team in the truck series, and he finished second at Daytona. I don't remember the year off the top of my head. I want to say it was 2020 or 2021, somewhere around there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and kind of built up the truck team. Still raced there, and then I kind of like got out of the driving role more. Like he made some select starts, but then at some point, I don't remember the year again, but he sold that off and moved up to Xfinity.
Okay.
Like Parker Retzloff raced last year for Jordan Anderson Racing.
Okay.
They have the hold on before I just sound stupid. I'm gonna go to Xfinity standings here, the owner standings. So they have Jeb Burton, the 27. They have the 31. Who drives the 31? I just really Blaine Perkins.
Okay.
The more you learn here, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot about that. And then I want to say they do the 32 on like part-time basis, and he's ran that I think a couple times this year. And if I read right, that's what Catherine Legg will be running is the 32 car.
Okay. Cool.
So I mean, it's overall not the worst equipment I think you could get in the Xfinity series.
I mean, it's better than Live Fast Racing.
Yeah.
In Cup. So I mean, hopefully it'll be a little bit better of a deal for her. Because I mean, I've said it before, and I said it on the week when she ran in Phoenix. It was in Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Phoenix. It's about time that there's actually a good racing woman in NASCAR. I think that'd be dope.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good that like after Phoenix, not saying that like I mean, so basically it just like after Phoenix, I could have seen like tucking your tail and running and being like, well, that looked really bad. That was fun. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess it's good to see her be like, no, I'm gonna keep trying. I want to, because I mean, starting one race on what seemed like short notice to get it all thrown together for a team that doesn't run every week, you're already kind of on an uphill battle.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do agree. But that is all we have for the news that happened this week in the NASCAR verse, I guess, is what you could say if you wanted to. I keep forgetting that we changed the camera angle, and I look over and I'm used to looking up. Yeah, we changed the camera angle if anyone who watches the video. Tell us what you think. If you like this, do you want us to go back the old way? It's up to you. Whatever you want to do. But getting into the Xfinity race, Blake, what went down?
So, lap 23, there was a caution for Chris Wright, and Josh Williams also got damage in that. It tore the rear bumper cover off of his.
At least he didn't throw it at him.
I mean, probably should have. The track record
Yeah.
Chris Wright's on this year, but
wait, oh my gosh, he's the one that full throttled it
at Daytona.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize. I didn't even make that connection. Okay.
But I went back and tried to watch the highlights of this race to find kind of like the replay of this one and then another wreck later on in the race, but I never really could find angles to.
Yeah.
So I watched this one on my phone in the car on the way to a concert. So
you should say who you went and saw.
Megan Maroney.
Let's go.
Country concerts.
The only boyfriend that dragged his girlfriend to the Megan
Probably
Maroney concert.
He's very outnumbered.
Yeah, that checks out for sure.
And then that was kind of the only that really was the only incident in stage 1 of this race. Harrison Burton, Brennan Poole, Kyle Sieg, and Anthony Alfredo all pull a strategy to get fresher tires than the rest of the field for the restart and to the end of the stage. Kind of similar to what I know Kyle Sieg was part of it at Miami, but I don't remember who else did it at Miami. And they drove through the field really good because Harrison Burton ended up winning the stage, and then I want to say all 4 of them finished in the top 10 of the first stage, which was good.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Then stage 2 is pretty uneventful. Justin Allgaier goes on to win that. Then, let's see, fast forward lap 112. Taylor Gray spins down the front stretch from around 18th after contact with Daniel Dye. Kind of just looked like coming off the turn, 2 cars trying to fit into one place on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Wall contact.
Kind of just
it was just kind of a racing
deal.
incident. Which sucks for Taylor Gray, especially after the Martinsville incident.
Yeah.
I feel like he's had a pretty solid year.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I don't think the finishes, obviously, at least from what I can remember, are going to show that as much, but it feels like every race he's up there and he's running good.
Yeah. No, I feel like he's definitely been like a name that you hear at least every week, at least about once, give or take. Yeah, because, I mean, last week in position to win.
Should have won.
Didn't win.
Yeah. And not comparing these two drivers per se, but it in a way feels like Brad Keselowski in the Cup Series, where like you look at the results and the points, and you're like, man, they're not. They're not doing so good. But you watch the races, and well, Taylor Gray probably shows a lot more speed and glimpse of hope in the Xfinity Series than Brad. But I mean, it kind of feels like that in a way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like there's a lot of drivers this year that have ran good, but you look at standings and finish placement, and it just hasn't been. It doesn't reflect. I mean, I can think.
Yeah.
Brad.
Gragson.
Bush.
Yeah.
Cindric.
Yeah.
Blaney.
Which I will say, just from a pure like fan viewership standpoint, makes you feel like you're in for a good rest of the regular season and run to the playoffs, because if Noah Gragson can capitalize on how he's been running at some tracks and finish good, he'll move up and maybe have a shot at making the playoffs. Brad, he probably is washed. I hate to say it, but there is the shot if he puts together some of the races that have fallen apart, and then we all know Blaney and Cindric are going to put it together.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
for
that
sure.
one, there's no worry about that.
If Blaney's pit crew can get their heads out of their asses and pit a car, no offense to Ryan Flores or any of them. But get it together, guys, please, for the love of God. And yeah, it's like just there's so many people. There's so many racers that are having that's like it just seems like the story of their season.
Yeah.
I mean across Xfinity to Cup.
And even in truck, I mean,
Yeah.
Corey Haim's still points wise really good, but like he could be a lot farther pulled away from the rest of
Yeah.
the field if it wasn't for some things that have gone wrong in a couple of races.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because he should have won Homestead.
Yeah.
He was going to win that race, but then his truck just keeps shutting off.
And then he probably was going to win Martinsville if it wasn't for contact with was it Leland Honeyman? Who was it? No, it was Caden Honeycutt. That's who it was. It was Caden Honeycutt. Leland Honeyman's in the Xfinity Series. But yeah, I mean, he probably would have won all but. Realistically, with the disqualification of Parker Kligerman, he could have won every race this year, it feels like.
Yeah, definitely.
But next incident, this was the other one I was talking about where I couldn't find really a replay or a better angle of it. So all I really have is with about 30 to go, Garrett Smithley just spins out what looked like on his own on the apron of the racetrack.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Ellis was down there. I saw a glimpse of a blue car. Again, not 100% sure. Watched this one in a car, and there were no good replays to go back and find of it.
Yeah, that was weird that there wasn't.
Which, I mean, it looked like it was in turn 3, not to 4 yet. So maybe it was just like a blind spot of the track to get the 8. I don't know.
It could be.
And it might have just been one of those spins in the back of the pack and all the camera were focused farther up in the field. Sorry, I just slapped my mic.
Yeah, sorry if that was extremely loud or anything. I apologize. But yeah, so it's like that was I'm trying to find exactly where we are.
Right above the lap 129.
Okay, gotcha. Forgive me if this is after lap 129 and we're not going in canonical order with this race, but I feel like we saw a little bit of the old Chastain.
I think it started probably around this time and continued on. I don't know. I mean, Chase was in this. I feel like Chase. I mean, I don't think anybody really had anything for Brandon Jones towards the end of it. Spoiler alert already. Brandon Jones won the race. But I do think that Chastain probably hindered any shot Chase had at keeping close with him at least.
Yeah, I agree.
And then who else was he like really just going at it with towards the end?
I can't remember.
Was it Allgaier or was it?
I think it was kind of.
Or was it? I really felt like everybody, honestly, that was right there around him. He was. So we talked about it in Miami how Larson was pulling the move of like, I'm going to throw it in the corner and I'm going to slide up. And we're going to see what you're going to do. And 85% of the time, Larson would just let off.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chastain just put you in the wall this weekend.
Literally. Yeah.
It's like, you break or I'm going to put you in the wall and you're going to slow down for me.
I really would love to see the more aggressive driving come back from Ross. I mean, not necessarily putting everybody into the wall, but I feel like he's kind of just let people kind of almost just walk all over him a little bit.
Yeah. I'm going to refrain from comment on this because the last time that I was like, I want the old Ross back, but a little more tame probably, he went out in lap 1 of the next race, took out Chase Elliott.
That's true. Good point.
But no, I mean, in all seriousness, Trackhouse is kind of not running very good in the Cup Series. Like, not to say that all of the success of Trackhouse rests on Ross's shoulders, because when that team was made, Suarez was the first guy there when it was a one-car team. But don't know. I think the style of driving where Ross excels involves him taking risks and being aggressive.
I agree.
Some of the risks are stupid, and he makes some very questionable moves, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, he's one of the drivers I think I have a love-hate relationship with.
Yeah.
Where he kind of teeters between, he's in my more of my favorite side, and then depending on the week, I could be like, I can't stand him, I'm tired of him. But I mean, it's not bad to have people like that in the sport.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
and two, like some of the races that kind of turn into snooze fests, I feel like he brings a little action to some of those, or he did. I don't know.
I agree.
But getting back to the Xfinity race, lap 129, Anthony Alfredo spins between turns 1 and 2. And then Josh Williams and Leland Honeyman also get together and get into the outside wall. This all happened around 24th position.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle Sieg also got damage in it. And I'm going to misquote this a little bit because I don't 100% remember it. But somebody posted like Alfredo's radio chatter from right after this incident. And he pretty much was like, I don't understand why Leland Honeyman's out here. Like, that was stupid. He caused this. He ruined my day. He sucks, basically. Like, just funny.
That is funny. But Brandon Jones goes on to win this race. So your top 5 for this race was Brandon Jones, Chase Elliott, Justin Allgaier, Ross Chastain, and Carson Kvapil. And Taylor Gray had the Xfinity fastest lap. So that wraps up Xfinity for this week. On to the Cup race. Good Lord. I guess everybody was too focused on, is Throwback Week run its course, to remember that there's a race. So William Byron wins the pole.
Not a huge shock. Hendrick's pretty good there.
Not a shock at all. But then, speaking of Hendrick, lap 5, literally 5 laps into this race, Larson brings out the first caution from spinning and hitting the inside wall. It sounded like he may have, like, the paint strips may have been slick, is kind of what it sounded like.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly, but he spins out, hits the wall.
Just noses head first straight in.
Like, he needs to be sponsored by Kool-Aid because he's the Kool-Aid man trying to break through the wall, but he didn't do it.
He pulled his best Jimmy Johnson impersonation coming off turn 2.
It just that early into the race, there was so much hype around that paint scheme. There's so much hype around Kyle Larson, just in general. I mean, granted, it's warranted. He's, arguably the best cup racer that we have right now. Probably one of the best motorsports athletes that we have right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one to compare him to is Verstappen, really. When it comes to their own craft, for sure. But so lap 5, Larson hits the wall. He takes it back to the garage, and they spend 160 laps to repair this car. And before we get into what happens after that, there's a few other things that happen before in 160 laps, because that's a lot of racing to do. So lap 24, Hocevar blows a flat from hitting the wall and brings out the caution. Not much to say about that.
What? Yeah.
Because didn't he hit the wall and then it was not immediate that he blew the flat?
It sounds right. I don't fully.
When I make these notes watching the race, I need to elaborate just a little bit.
because
feel
I
like
know
that
there
would
was
help.
another point in the race where Hocevar had an incident, but that one was more like getting lapped and everything.
Yeah.
Which that one was later on, right?
Yeah, definitely it was. So JJ Yaley ends up in the wall on the restart and doesn't bring out a caution.
They were real wishy-washy this
They
weekend.
really were, because later on, I'll go ahead and say it now because I don't have the exact lap, but it's in stage 2. Brad Keselowski spins.
Yeah.
No caution. But we're still going to throw cautions for debris that's up against the inside wall.
Yeah, and I mean, what made no sense about that, jumping around a little bit here, obviously, but
Yeah.
what made no sense to me in the slightest of that is the debris that brought out the caution was the lug from Brad's car
Mm-hmm.
that came off.
That you could see in a shot from
Yeah.
Fox, which was cool.
And like, so we're gonna let him run the whole length of the track
With no
with
lug.
nothing holding the wheel on, and he limped it back around, and the wheel did not come off. I don't know how. But then we're gonna throw it after. I don't know. It just who runs the inside wall where that rested? Like, because it was off 4 on the front stretch. Like, nobody's running down there.
Yeah,
and
it didn't make much sense.
It's not gonna hurt anything if it's sitting down. Like, you got to think about if there's like some races, there's trash on the grill. Drivers throw water bottles out of the car.
Yeah.
Where does that all go? The bottom of the track.
Yeah. It's, I mean, granted, I know there could be a scenario where that gets kicked up somehow and then it causes an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be a freak incident.
But throw the caution for his lug not coming off.
And I mean, he's spinning out, too, because of it. Like,
and him spinning out also. So throw it for that. Don't throw it for the debris, because that's stupid.
It just felt like one of those where they didn't want to mess up the green flag pit stop cycle, basically. But then they still did.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
They did. They really did, because it's like that's when everybody got flip-flopped around. Yeah, because Priest was looking like he was going to have a freaking generational run.
Yeah.
And then he finishes in, the back 15. So before the end of stage 1, Carson Hocevar again
this is where it was.
Yeah, gets spun by Riley Herbst.
They were both getting lapped by Byron at the time.
I think they were just trying to stay on the lead lap is kind of what it seemed like.
And Hocevar, which, I mean, he has every right to do so. He was racing hard to stay on the lead lap, like racing Byron hard. And I think it almost kind of looked like Byron finally got to the point that was like, look, I'm not really going to leave you a whole lot of room here. You do with that as you please. You're going a lap down. Get behind me. You're slowing me down.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I get trying to stay on the lead lap and everything, but Byron's obviously in contention to win this race.
Yeah.
Hocevar was about to be lapped. I'm not trying to say, hey, just let him go, don't race him hard or anything like that, but at that point,
I mean, it's a catch-22 situation because, like, if you are the last car, like, you want to be the last car on the lead lap for multiple reasons. One, you don't go a lap down. But two, in a situation like that, him and Herbst are right there. So if he gets lapped, then Herbst is going to get lapped. Or, like, Herbst gets lapped, then he gets lapped. So then they're both right there, and then they have a dogfight for who's the first one to lap down because that's who's getting the free pass.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get in that situation. So I get that.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. I mean, people do race the leaders hard when they're trying to stay on the lead lap, but that, I don't know. That one just felt – it's also Hocevar. I mean, it makes sense. I again, don't think he did anything wrong there necessarily.
No.
Other than wrecking himself kind of off of Herbst.
True.
But
so stage 2 is where all the Keselowski drama comes from and the debris caution, but that's about all that happens in stage 2. So,
Well, Byron won stage 1.
oh yeah, Byron wins stage 1 and stage 2. This was his race for the majority of it.
I mean, did you put in here how many?
I didn't put the exact number, but I want to say it was like a track record.
It was okay. If I'm looking at this picture right, I think that's laps led.
Okay.
So it looks like 243 laps led.
Yeah.
All consecutively, also.
Yeah. To add to that, like, I mean, it's the caution is what flipped this race on its head. The debris, air quotes debris caution.
Well, it was debris.
It was debris. I'm more so air quotes in the sense of it should have been a caution because Brad Keselowski's spinning out. Because of I don't know, man. It just consistency, please. Like, call a caution, you know.
I mean, and like we've talked about with debris cautions before, they showed it to us. We know what the debris was. So, like, cool. But also, you were in such an avoidable situation there with it where, hey, Brad's spinning out and something flew off of his car. Let's just go ahead and call it here, guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing.
I don't think you get complaints then.
No, I mean, I don't think so. But I think when you say, we're going to call a caution from the debris from coming off of his car from spinning out, it's like...
Nothing against Brad in this, but it's like we're going to let Brad come all the way back around, pit again, and then when he's safely in there and can pit, okay, boom. That's like...
Yeah.
Not that that's what it was, but just optically what it looked like, you know?
Yeah. So, at this point, this is when Kyle Larson comes back out after 160 laps down.
Yeah.
So, I guess, at first I was like, why are you even trying to go back out? Because, I mean, you still finish in last place, pretty much.
Yeah.
There literally was not... I think the only other car that was out was J.J. Yaley.
Yeah.
And there was not enough laps in the race for him to get that position.
Yeah.
Or... 1 minute. Elaborate on that while I double-check that.
I just think that... I saw a clip of Dale Jr. talking about, like, DNFs and, like, all of that kind of stuff, where, like, back in the day... Even if you went out there and you knew you were going to run dead last and your car was going to look like it was just held together by hopes and dreams and duct tape.
I lied. He didn't finish last. He finished second to last. He did pass J.J. Yaley. But
like, you don't want to quit on your team. You don't want your team to quit on you. Like,
that's true.
I don't think anybody wants to get home before the race is even over and finish watching the one that you were racing in on TV if that's what you're into at that point. But I don't know. I guess the other thing too is like the more laps you run out there, it's data. I mean, that's your
what
car is damaged.
Because it's data for the fall race there.
Yeah.
And then also it was one of the first times that, at least for a Hendrick car, for them to fully understand the damaged vehicle policy, the new DVP.
Yeah.
What they need to put in their equipment cart for when something like this happens, you know.
And I didn't really think about that either, too, that, like, that makes... I feel like, one, it's probably a pride thing. Even if the race is 250 laps and you're 240 down, you finished it. Mm-hmm. You started it, you finished it, yay. But then the other thing too, like you said, that's the first time that any of the Hendrick cars this year with the updates to it have really even fallen under it without just straight being out of the race.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it makes sense on a lot of different ways too.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Plus, I mean, sponsors are paying you to be there. You don't want to just be like, well, all right, 5 laps in, throw the white flag in, I'm going home.
Definitely.
Which I think that's a good thing about this DVP, like, clock and all the rules and everything is like it just felt lame before that it was like, oh, we had to tow you back to the garage, pack your stuff up, put the car in, like.
At least they have the option now to fix the car, even if it is rebuilding the entire nose of the car.
Yeah.
Like,
Which, and the other thing too is not like at that point that they're going to be competitive or it's going to. It's almost just like something that is nostalgic, I guess, to me at this point. Watching NASCAR as long as I have is like I can remember when Junior. It was the '88 car. It might have been Bristol. Don't quote me on it, but he wrecked. It ripped the driver's side door off. Door foam was out. There, I mean, it was just almost roll cage. He comes back out, side of the car duct taped together, stuffed door foam back in, and then with orange duct tape put an 88 on the side of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's dumb, but it looks cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I mean, if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying.
Because, like, with this next-gen car, we've never seen a mangled-up next-gen car come back out, really.
Yeah, and I mean, we still haven't because his car looked like it was basically...
It was missing wrap almost on the nose.
Yeah.
Like, where it didn't match.
But still, I mean...
I think we've seen a few run without, like, tops of the fender or maybe even a fender.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely have.
But like, come back out without a bumper, just cut it off in the pits. Like,
I mean, think about
some old school.
Think about last year. I think it was Stenhouse for Talladega. He had a big giant hole in the side of his car, and that race win diecast has that on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because I mean, this is a race win right here. I'm holding it up. Blaney Coke 600 body armor. It's got all the confetti and stuff on it. I'm trying to see if there's anything.
There isn't really any damage on that one, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit on the tires, like a little wear, but they all come. The race wins all come with how the car looked in victory lane. So no matter what, it looks like they make it based off of the photos that they take in victory lane. So I think it'll be cool to see the new DVP policy come into play where, maybe a car does come back out and by the grace of God wins the race somehow. And
Yeah. The other thing too is like they used to do like they called it checkers or wreckers diecast.
And it would be like cars that got all
Lily has one I believe it's the Josh Williams car from where he parked it on the start-finish line at Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
And they made one for Gregson from an all-star race where, like, there's tape all over the front, and they even put, like, I think where one of the teammates put, like, thanks fans or something because they got the fan vote, like, on the duct tape.
Oh, that's cool.
But, like, I don't feel like they've had many opportunities to do that with this car.
The only one that I can think of would be Blaney's Dent Wizard from Atlanta in the fall last year. Because he finished that race with so much aero tape on the side of it, you couldn't even really tell the sponsor.
Because it was like the whole rear fender.
Yeah, it was all just silver tape. But in stage 3, Barry gets spun by Reddick. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if Reddick was told that he's clear, and he obviously wasn't. But yeah, Barry gets spun. But another cool thing about the paint scheme that Barry ran that I heard them say on the broadcast was, I think it was like the president of Indianapolis
Motor Speedway
wrote the team and was like, hey, can you guys run that when you come here for Brickyard 400?
Yeah.
And they are agreeing to do that. So I think that's pretty cool. Because I really like that scheme. That green looks dope. The number looks dope.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool.
I know it wasn't your favorite, but I liked it.
I was also, cool. Get off my lawn hater of it just because,
quit throwing back to IndyCar.
It's I know it's Throwback Weekend, but, like, I feel like it's understood that it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean.
But again, it is cool. I think it's cooler than, like, people throwing back to themselves that's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Like, Christopher Bell threw back to, like, a truck scheme or, like, nobody cares about that. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy, but, like, you're not even 30 yet. You've won some races, but you haven't, like, made a huge impact in the sport. Like, because the weekend overall is more for the fans than the drivers.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So like, and I feel like it's supposed to be a bridge of like, let's get old school fans back because there's a Davey Allison scheme running, or there's Dale Earnhardt Sr., there's Ricky Rudd, like stuff like that. And then that also teaches newer, younger fans, or just newer to the sport fans about it. And like supposed to kind of, it's supposed to kind of bring everybody together.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know what like Ford throwback to that. I don't know.
I mean, it was.
It looked good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I totally get what you're saying.
Out of the non-NASCAR throwbacks, that was probably my favorite.
Because there was that, and then Christopher Bell's this year was
a throwback to like one of his racing mentors, like dirt cars or something.
Yeah. That was really.
I'm gonna stop.
Like the sentiment was cool.
Yeah,
but
you're not gonna make a cup car look like a dirt car or anything like that.
You're not.
Car looked whatever, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it was cool to see like the old school DeWalt font and stuff, but no, I totally get that. So green flag pit stops take Byron out of the lead, and then Tyler Reddick ends up taking the lead from these.
Which honestly, and this might just be my opinion, but it really felt like the reason that Byron lost the lead in that cycle is they were sitting there trying to compute and being too caught up in we have to lead every single lap of this race. Like let's run a perfect race. It's not going to happen without cautions falling at the right time, because you're never going to make a green flag stop, pit as the leader, come back out as the leader. And it almost felt like they got caught up in that because they pitted so much later than Hamlin, Bell, and Blaney were the main ones.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost his. I mean, he had a almost 2-second lead, I feel like, over second, and came out like a second or two behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Reddick goes on to lead for about 42 laps.
Yeah.
Give or take a little bit. And then we go back to our 160 lap down. Well, actually, before I get there.
I was about to say, we're leaving a key part of this out for you.
So, at this point, Blaney and Hamlin start chasing down Reddick, and they have fresher tires by like 2 to 4 laps, give or take.
Enough that they had a speed
difference.
Like they were catching him.
It was. I was watching. I mean, me and Mal were sitting on the couch, just like, oh, Blaney's passing him. He's passing another one. He's doing another one, and we were getting so hype over this. And it's just, it was really exciting. And then just as soon as it's like Blaney takes the lead, oh my gosh, he's going to win this.
Yeah, because you feel good about it at that point, because you're like, he got around Reddick first. He can stretch the lead before Hamlin is even able to get around him.
Yeah.
If this runs green to the end, we feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I really was like, I literally, from the instance of he passed him, and then you see in the background of him passing him, Kyle Larson, who's 160 laps down. And then you see Bubba Wallace. And I wrote in the notes that Bubba wrecks the crap out of Larson. That is not the case. And I saw someone on Twitter or something they were like, here's the SMT data.
Yeah.
Larson did the equivalent of someone is tailgating you at 3 in the morning and you decide you're going to brake check them. I still don't know why.
Well, Reddick got in the wall.
Okay, so Reddick gets into the wall a little bit.
And I think because like you listen to it all day, you hear about how tricky it is coming off of 2.
Mm-hmm.
The way there's like that little bump or whatever, like whatever the case is or what's different right there, that apparently sounded like one of the hardest turns in NASCAR.
I mean, because it's literally the same spot.
I mean, everybody.
The same spot that Larson pulls out the first caution of the race
yeah.
at, and I think this is also something I thought about. Because all day Larson was, when he got back out there, he was very respectful of keeping out of people's way. He's like, I'm 160 laps down. There's only one person I can pass, and they're not even out here.
Yeah.
So it's like he was very focused on being out of people's way.
Right.
And I think that he sees Reddick kind of get a little bit into the wall and was just kind of like, oh, crap, and then hits the brakes, and then Bubba Wallace hits him, spins him out. It looks like, oh, my teammate is just got passed for the lead. Time to wreck someone, bring out a caution, re-rack them. But
which, if you got on Twitter at that point,
everybody
after the race,
was saying that.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm not gonna say like watching it in real time right when it happens. Sure, yeah, I can see where your mind goes to that. Mine did.
Yeah,
but also it was like kind of how we do the like, oh, here's our conspiracy theory of the week, NASCAR edition thing.
It's kind of a joke more
Yeah.
so, because I mean, once I started to kind of think about it, I'm like, Bubba and Blaney are both really good friends. He's not gonna, even if it is his teammate getting passed by Blaney, he's not gonna just bring out a caution for no reason.
Yeah. Well, did you see where Jordan came up to Blaney after the race on pit road? He like went over and like. And Blaney jokingly was like, yeah, if it wasn't for your driver wrecking somebody, I would have won.
And then Bubba came up to him, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that Bubba purposely wrecked Larson, but I was like, really, the same exact spot Larson brings out another caution.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, too, was if you look back at Larson's incident on lap 5 out of that turn, and even if you think historically about it, somebody tags the wall there, gets loose, wrecks down the racetrack. You just kick it sideways trying to save it. I think he saw him get in the wall, said, well, I'm not getting involved in this. I'm 160 laps down. I need to back off because like he's going to wreck.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. And again, not saying that this wreck is Bubba's fault. I just think this is a racing deal. You pin it a little more, I guess, on Larson over checking up.
Yeah.
But also, like, you have a windshield and you have two eyes, and somebody's checking up in front of you, and you make it somewhat of an not saying don't pass him, don't race him, but make a little more of an attempt to like, oh crap. There's no taillights on it. You can't or brake lights.
Yeah.
But he's slowing down. You see somebody getting the wall up there too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Not blaming Bubba obviously here, but it just
at first it did. That's what it felt like, for sure.
And I still feel like he could have done a little more, but I don't know that there's a way with how much Larson checked up that you cannot make contact with them, how narrow the exit of 2 is.
And watching the in-car from Bubba, it's like, it looks like he brake checks like really, SMT showed it.
He just
really
jammed
hard.
The brake.
Extremely hard. And I think it, like I said, I think it kind of was more, he was just extremely focused on being out of people's way, and then Bubba was behind him. So basically from this, people go down and pit, and of course at this time Denny Hamlin's pit crew just pulls out the shortest stop that I've ever seen in my life. Like, perfect game time, clutch, perfect stop.
Yeah.
And of course Blaney's crew did not do that.
Well, I know, like, I like Blaney. Blaney's my second favorite driver. But, like, ultimately, unless Chase is out of the race, I don't put all of my attention on Blaney usually. Mm-hmm. But even, like, just from following him and keeping up with him to that extent, like, even when I saw the pit stops were about to happen, I was like, well, chat, we're cooked.
Yeah.
There goes any chance of Blaney winning, like, because for whatever reason, I seem to like drivers whose pit crew, anything to do with pit stops just screws them over every race.
Yeah. No, I know the feeling. Trust me.
But
if we're not blowing a motor, we're having issues on pit road.
Ultimately, like, I get the whole. I don't know. I don't. Like, Blaney obviously has struggled for whatever reason with the pit stops, especially it felt like in this race too. Like, every time he went in,
there was
he's
something.
good. Now he dropped these spots.
Yeah, I mean, I think at one point he had one stop that dropped him like 15 spots.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds right, honestly.
Um,
But I also expected, like, Byron's crew to get him out and be a little closer and, like, in the fight, it feels like.
Yeah. But so basically from this, Denny Hamlin comes out and basically just dominates the last 10 laps of this race.
Yeah, and that's all he led was 10 laps.
Yep. So Denny Hamlin wins the race. Your top 5: Denny, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, and Byron gets the fastest lap.
Which this isn't all just because I don't like Denny.
No.
That plays into this, but it is very frustrating sometimes to watch a race where someone leads 243 laps. Something out of their control, out of everyone's control happens, kind of messes you up.
Yeah.
Or you make, in this situation too, like the green flag, you kind of miss the call by a lap or maybe 2 laps, something like that. And it ruins your day. And then someone who just, in lack of better words, lucks completely out on their pit crew, having out of their mind stop, wins the race.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Which, I mean, it did feel like it was hard to pass at Darlington this weekend.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. It's, yeah. No,
I mean, I'm not even a huge Byron. I mean, I like Byron, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like a huge Willie B's my guy.
Yeah.
I got to the point where he'd led 220, and I'm like, dude, just lead every lap.
Yeah, no,
like,
I mean, that's the thing. He deserved to win that race.
And it also just would have been cool and, like, interesting from the fan perspective and viewership, like, because what they say the last one was, it was Jeff Burton, like 2000 or 2001.
Something like that, yeah.
Early 2000s was the last time somebody had led every single lap of a race and won.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the weekend sweep thing.
Yeah, it hasn't happened in a long time.
Really love Kyle Larson, but it's been a while since it happened, and that'd be cool to witness again.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, you want to get into some playoff talk?
Yeah. So
it may seem early to talk about playoffs, but we figured 9th race of the season.
Yeah.
Good time to start bringing up the point situation.
And we might abbreviate this more in upcoming weeks, or just give you movers of, like, so-and-so jumped up 4 spots and stuff
something
like that. But this will be playoff standings as they run out of Darlington weekend. So your race winners this year, Christopher Bell is first in playoff standings. Denny Hamlin's second, Byron's third, Larson's fourth, and Barry's fifth. So your 5 winners are the top 5 in playoff points as we run right now. Then you've got, let's see, Chase Elliott in 6th, Tyler Reddick in 7th, Ryan Blaney in 8th, Bubba Wallace in 9th, and Joey Logano in 10th. Let's see. Now moving on, let's see. 11th is Alex Bowman. 12th is Chris Buescher. 13th is Ross Chastain. 14th is Ryan Preece. 15th is Chase Briscoe, which is crazy to think about after Daytona that we're talking about.
Yeah, him being there because that penalty being overturned. And
then I won't lie, when I screenshotted these and put them in the notes, this one shocked me. Kyle Busch is 16th right now in the final spot of the playoffs.
He has done well throughout stages 1 and 2 in races.
I think that's kind of what's helping him.
Yeah, for sure.
And then as they run now, the first 4, so 17 through 20, that are the closest to jumping over and making their way into the playoffs, knocking somebody else out, would be A.J. Allmendinger in 17th, Michael McDowell in 18th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 19th, and John Hunter Nemechek in 20th.
I think that's the most shocking part about the playoff standings right now, is those 4 that are just right outside of it. I didn't expect to see Allmendinger or Stenhouse or Nemechek for that matter.
I've tried to like look at driver points because early in the year the NASCAR app didn't have the playoff like standings.
Mhm.
So I would just keep up with who was where in driver standings, and like Nemechek was top 10 in points after 3 races, I think 2 or 3, somewhere in there.
That would make sense. For
Very
the first
small
2 or
sample
3.
size,
Yeah.
but I mean he was there. He had a good start, and that carries weight. I think the other thing too is like AJ Allmendinger runs good at Vegas. I'm pretty sure he ran good at Miami.
Yeah.
Like, and then stage wise, I mean, it is kind of surprising because it's AJ Allmendinger. Not a knock
Yeah.
on him, but he's in colleague equipment. Like, they're not notoriously good in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
Michael McDowell going to Spire. I mean, it seems surprising, but like, because I Spire's a little bit of a step down from front row. I think for him at least.
Yeah.
He seemed to always fit the program there good. But like it really isn't surprising, honestly, either to think about because I feel like he's always the forgotten one.
Yeah, the right outside.
Yeah. And Stenhouse, I mean,
I don't feel like I've heard anything from him this season other than him spinning people out.
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah.
Apparently, he's been
fair.
running pretty decent. I don't.
Which I think the other thing too, and this is gonna be me sounding like this is gonna be another get off my lawn old head moment, but like 16 driver playoff is too many drivers.
Totally fair.
It's almost half of the field
Yeah.
that like has a charter.
For sure. Totally fair.
Not saying that I don't want to see Kyle Busch in, or Briscoe, or Priest, or Chastain, but like make it 12.
Yeah, no, I
That's
agree.
enough people to make it interesting still, but it doesn't feel like you're playing T-ball at the local rec league and they're like, here's your participation trophy.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, we'll keep you guys updated on some big moves in the playoff standings and probably give like the standings every four or five
something like
episodes,
that.
something like that.
I think just to run through, the only ones that shock me that are like 12th and higher per se, I didn't expect Buescher to be that high because I feel like he just shows glimpses here and there.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes sense.
Honestly,
Bubba's a huge shock to me.
Mm-hmm.
Logano, because I mean really Blaney too.
Yeah, even with all the issues that they've had this
but
season.
I feel like they've just done good in stages. I feel like that's Penske's thing is we're going to do good in stages. The results be what the results be early in the year.
Yeah.
And
they're almost going to just point their way in, but they'll end up winning a race.
They'll win a race at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're too fast not to, but they don't really turn it on until the playoffs, it feels like every year.
That's true. So, we got Bristol this weekend. So in the past, in 22 and 23, Bristol did the dirt race there
in the spring.
So we're actually not going to include those in our next gen winners, but
just because it doesn't
transfer. Yeah, it just is what it is. So 2022, you had Chris Buescher. 23, you had Denny Hamlin. And then 2024, back when we went to the 2 regular races there, in the spring, Hamlin won, and that was the
I beat
tire.
Your favorite driver?
Or? No.
Or is that 23?
That's 23. Okay. It was the tire wear race.
Yeah, we need that. Please somehow make that happen again. Yeah, even though, honestly, Hamlin has a very good shot if it gets to be a tire conservation race.
100%, especially with Martin Truex not in the field.
That's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I went back and pulled up the finishing order, and I saw Truex in second, and then I saw such a wide gap between him and third and, like, finishing. I was like, oh, yeah, that was this race. Yeah. So, and then Larson won in the fall there. So this weekend we got Truck, Xfinity, and Cup this weekend running. I guess I will go with my picks first. So for truck, I'm gonna go with Larson. Um, I'd love to see him do the sweep, but I don't think he's going to. But I think he's gonna win truck. That's just me. And my Xfinity and Cup picks, you guys are gonna be like, wow, that's wild that you're picking two people to win their race for win the race for the first time, and one of them has
That's
the
what I
most
said.
second place finishes in Xfinity
He
history.
even had a commercial made about that.
Yeah. So I think Sheldon Creed's gonna win Xfinity. I hope. I'm probably just literally throwing away my guess for this week, but
We do that half the
either
time
way,
anyway.
yeah,
It's
that's
okay.
true. You know, pick with your heart. And then Cup, I'm going with Ryan Preece. I think he has a win coming, just with how good he has ran this season.
It wouldn't shock me.
Would not surprise me at all. But Blake, what you got for your picks?
Truck, Corey Heim. I have not picked him a few times to make the interesting choice, and I mean, he's good everywhere they go.
Yeah.
He's ran good at Bristol. I think again, I don't like Justin said. I don't think Larson is going to get the sweep. I don't think he's going to win a single race this weekend. If he wins one, I would put my money on Cup.
Yeah.
Truck is, like he said the last time, the hardest one of the three he feels like for him to win.
Yeah.
Xfinity, I'm going to go with Jesse Love. I think from looking back, he's ran good in his starts there. He also is doing he's doing double duty this weekend, so extra track time. I think it helps him, and he gets the win. And Cup, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott because I saw can't remember where I saw it, but it was a stat that he is the only driver in the next gen car on short tracks to be in the top 5 of fastest laps and laps led and not win. So that's my pick on that.
Nice. Well, those sound like some good picks, I think. Except for mine. I never feel confident with the picks. So that's all we have for you guys this week. Like I said earlier in the intro, I'm Justin.
I'm Blake.
And this has been the Checkered Chat. You guys can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Audible, and on YouTube. And you guys can follow all that good stuff, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. And we will see you guys next week after Bristol. Bye.